Yo, what's up, guys? So today is May 22nd, and I'm actually gonna start to edit these videos and kind of structure them um, better, just so for when I go back through and kind of watch my reviews, it's a lot easier, and then it's also gonna be a lot easier and quicker for you guys to go back through. So I'm gonna actually like chop it up and kind of edit it how Bueller does. But anyway, this is my first trade of the day here on Apple. It's a winner slash a loser. So as you're gonna see with as you're gonna see with two of my trades today, they actually started off as a loser that I got stopped out just because I rushed the entry. And that seems to be a common trend within the past week for some reason with my trading is I feel like I've been rushing the entry just a little bit. Um, so I'm going to uh, kind of focus on that. And then you guys may have seen in trade results or trade floor today, but I was asking Mel and Leland about their back testing, and then I also talked to Leland, and he helped me like kind of structure a plan and show me what he does and everything. So I really appreciate that. So I'm gonna go back through, because Mel told me just to do 100 days. So I'm gonna go back, do 100 days, and then I'm gonna go through all those with, you know, the lead test, the 40% entry, 80% entry, look at the positioning, where we are on the chart, how we react around levels, stuff like that, so I can find common trends, on SPY and Apple, the two stocks that I actually trade. Um, and I feel like that's really going to help me, with my entries, with looking at like a certain area and being like, oh, this could be a lead test, but since we're by this, just give me a lot more confidence. And then I also want to go back through my trade reviews here and find like basically go back and just like review them again, create a doc, and make like a common trends and winners, common trends and losers, positioning on winners, all that stuff. So it's still kind of like a back testing slash review of previous trades. Anyway, let me get into this first trade though. So here on Apple, Bueller even pointed this out on the stream today. I had this golden pocket retracement actually drawn um, prior to Bueller drawing it. He drew it from this low here, which I didn't really understand. But I drew it from like this high here of pre-market down to this big flush down. And of course, here in the morning, I'm just seeing if we can flush down and reject this golden pocket, maybe see a test of this demand zone down here. We ended up not getting that, but let me kind of show you my thought process. So this line here is actually from Friday. Or no, this is from last Thursday. This is a kind of intraday level here, which also I went back a little bit to, is like a high of day on the 11th. I didn't really notice this at the time, but I am trying to pay more attention to like positioning and levels. Because at first, I did actually have this hidden, but I kind of noticed that we were at this, intraday supply, and then one of the previous days high here, and we kind of rejected actually to the cent almost. It was right on the level. But anyway, we push up here. I'm watching at the 5 minute at this point, just because this is a bit more of a larger golden pocket. It's not just like a little 1 minute scalp type of thing. I was hoping to get a bigger trade on here, but as you see here in the opening, we have a nice pump. The second candle is more of an indecision candle, and it's pretty low volume, so buyers really weren't able to pick us up here. And then on this candle here, on this flush down, we got slight rising volume, and we were able to reclaim and go back into the golden pocket, showing, buyers really aren't going to hold us up here. And my mistake on this entry is on a lead test, you like to see a either a lower high or a candlestick pattern where or at least some sort of volume confirmation for you to get in. I completely broke my rules here. We got this, little push down here, but look at the volume. Even though, oh, excuse me, even though this is more volume than the past few candles here getting to this resistance zone, it is still lowering, showing that sellers really aren't picking this up. So there's no reason for me to really get in just because we're under the 9. And as you can see, my first entry here, we kind of popped back up on the 9, and then I actually got in around halfway through this candle because we started to push down. My big mistake here is I just tried to get a really risky entry, and then Of course, we had no volume at all. We didn't have any lower high or a candlestick pattern. And this candle actually ended up getting wicked up and creating a hammer. So I just kind of got screwed because I was kind of trying to rush it. I ended up getting out here on this candle just because we kind of came up close above the golden pocket. I was going to try to give this a chance, but I was just like, I'm going to just get out here because we might just end up pumping back up. But what actually caught my attention again is I'm like, this play is still valid. And this is one thing too, is like, this was a very risky entry because, this play is still valid at this point that I exited. But my stop loss is a 40-cent stop loss, and a 40-cent stop loss on Apple is crazy. Like, my usual stop loss, like, here, let's look at it for my next entry. I probably got filled more towards the bottom of this candle. But look at this stop loss here. Around 20 cents. Like, I feel like it's usually about 10 to 20 cents. So 40 cents is crazy. And I wasn't really thinking about that just because I was trying to be like, oh, we can get in and just flush here. Just like false expectations. Anyway, though, we come back up here. We pull back up to this line, up to our now high of day. We could even just mark it, screw saying we just rejected at that level. Let's just say around this high. It's basically like a few cents off of touching our high of day body right here. So you can call it a higher low. I mean a lower low. But we push up, make this inverse pin bar, and look at the volume. It's very, very good here. Definitely rising. Buyers weren't able to pick us up, make a new high here. So I'm just like, okay, looking for puts again. I'm like, this is actually a good entry. What do we have? Volume confirmation, a lower high, and a candlestick pattern. This is going to give me the most confidence to enter. This second candle here, why I said I entered a bit on the bottom is because we ended up pushing up, testing this high again, wicking down, and then as you see the bottom wick here, right here, we started to like push down below this candle. So I was like, all right, this is where I'm going to get in, stop a close below this, above this high. And yeah, I entered with just two like 4-day contracts. It was for like $200 or something. And we ended up pushing down here below the 9. But this is where this trade kind of got a bit sketchy because look at, we have the 61.8% fib here, and now price is trying to go back into the golden pocket. But look at the volume. We did have rising volume on this. We had another pin bar that started to push down. Volume wasn't really there, but I was like, okay, we had this previous high volume candle, so sellers are obviously very present here. Plus our two other lines of like confirmation meet, and we're just breaking it down. So like I'm gonna get in. That's enough confluence. But then here, what we would have liked to see is volume continue to pick back up here. But look at it just stays super low and slightly lowering each candle too. Coming back to this fib, I'm like, this fib level, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is looking kind of sketch. So I took off one out of the two cons here because I'm like, if we wanted to flush this level, we probably would have flushed this level. So I was getting a bit sketched. But we ended up coming up here. Buyers trying to push us up. We wick right off of this 9 EMA, and then we push down, and we actually took off our last contract here. And let me look at how many cents we caught on this move. We caught about a hell. Does it just not want to show me? Here, I'll do a thingy here. So we exited down here. So we caught 54 cents on Apple, which is really good. It's just the contracts were a bit far out, so it wasn't a crazy percentage. And then I also saw in the chat today that Monday's contracts also don't really move as good. So I probably only got like 10% or so out of that, but 10% is still 10%. And it made back all of our loss from our previous entry and more. So I'm very happy with it, but you guys also may be wondering why I would exit here. Well, first off, we have a BB level here. We have the 50% fib retracement, and then if we also go, it was actually to the 10-minute. If we actually go to the 10-minute, look at where we are. We're coming down to test the 10-minute 9 EMA. So that's kind of like a big buying point where we could just get bought back up. As you also see on the second candle, if we do go to the 5-minute, oh, it is slightly rising. On the 10-minute, it is lowering. But yeah, this was enough for me to get out. I was just like, yeah, heck nah, I'm all good. You know, I'm fine with my 10%, especially since I made back my previous loser. But yeah, that's for my first trade today. Alright guys, so for our second trade for the day, we actually ended up making the same mistake. As you guys see here, this was where our last trade was. And here, my reasoning behind this is actually, if we go to the, shoot, what the hell? Here we go. Alright, so if we go onto the 5 and the 10-minute chart, as you see, we actually end up losing the 10 EMA, and we actually lost it on pretty decent volume on the 10 and the 5. Look at this high volume here. So, where my trade idea starts to come in is we just had this big flush down. You know, we just took that previous winner, and now I'm just waiting. I'm just like, okay, well, I drew my golden pocket because now we are below the fib here. And here, let me actually mark this. Yeah, wait. Where did we open? We open right here, right? All right, sorry. But yeah, so we're now below the 9 EMA 5-minute, 10-minute. We're below this BB level here, and we're below our today's open. And we're also back below this golden pocket from the pre-market here. I don't have it drawn. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to look for a golden pocket retracement. Again, I entered way too early and ended up taking a loss. And here's where I entered. Does anybody see a problem? Yes, we have lowering volume on this push down, but look at, we do get a pin bar, okay. We have our candlestick pattern, but look at the volume. Volume is not significant at all. So, why do we not enter here? Because obviously this is not showing that this pin bar is actually strong. And then what do we not get afterwards? We don't get a push down from the pin bar like we had here. We know we created this, we had really good volume, and then we started to push down, and that's where we entered, showing that sellers are present. Instead, we pushed up, kind of pushed above this little high, and created this hammer here, and then this is where I was like, nah, I'm gonna just, you know, take my loss, get out. But where I actually found my re-entry, here, let me just delete these real quick. Is, you know, as we see here, we have our intraday structure, or our lower time frame structure, I'm sorry, and, you know, we come up, we create a higher high, a higher low, a higher high. So I'm now looking, okay, we kind of get a or an inverse hammer here, a hammer here. Let's go on to the 5-minute. You know, we kind of it's a bit wonky. We kind of have a crazy hammer here, but for how big this hammer is, volume really isn't that high. Let's go to the 10-minute. Let me just look at these candles. I was just focusing on the 1-minute, but I want to see if I see anything significant. Yeah, we kind of get this indecision candle here on the 10-minute. So I go back down to the 1, and where I actually find my entry is right here. So we push down, we kind of create this higher low again. But look at this, we get our 2 green candles. This is our lower high little pullback. So now we have a break of structure. You know, volume still isn't really there. So let's look at where I entered. I looked at where we broke back down below here, and then we started to get some volume pick up. You know, also we did kind of wick up a little bit here. I did get in before the candle closed, but the volume wasn't like super significant on the wick up. It's not like volume was this low and then when we wicked up it went this high. It was basically already up there. So I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna get this break and close below the 9. We ended up wicking up a little, but buyers obviously couldn't follow through. And then also this entry here gives me really good risk reward. Look at, we're risking about 11 cents. And our reward, you know, for our first take profit about is going to be about here. That's about just a 2. And then where our second take profit was, it was about about a 3. Sorry, my mic just turned off. Yeah, entered here, 2 contracts, same thing. Ended up pushing down. If we go to the trade results here, we took our first profit here at this little base on, yeah, this the bottom of this candle. Just because, again, price today was a bit wonky. You know, we're just kind of chopping within this little range. We have this Bueller level here. We have the previous day, today's open here. So I'm just like, I'm gonna just take the first contract off, kind of de-risk myself a little bit, kind of lock in the profit for this trade, and then see if I can hold this other trade longer. So my target actually for this trade was this low here, this new low of day that we created on I usually go to the 5 minute to look at the candles. Oh, and I actually kind of missed this. This is where I messed up. So this is something that I should critique myself on. But we ended up hitting this low of day from this wick onto these candle bodies. So this is kind of like, could be a grab of liquidity. Um, but yeah, should have taken our profit here. But I was trying to let this contract run down a bit. And what we actually get here too, which should have been a big indication for me, is this. First off, once we touch this level, volume started to pick up and buyers started to step in, us wicking off, and then we also had this pin bar candle with really good volume. But where I actually ended up exiting is we reclaimed this previous low here and we closed above the 9. So that's where I actually got out on my second contract, but still, I'm not really angry at that because I managed that trade very well. Very good risk to reward, held through all of this, got out on the break at the 9 EMA. I mean, yeah, I think it was overall really good. Alright, so for the last trade, guys, this is actually a loser here on SPY, and it's a loser that I'm not really disappointed with because after my past two trades, it's technically four, where two of them, I just had an early entry, and then after I ended up getting an actual good entry, and they ended up playing out and working for me. Um, but for this third trade, I'm gonna just say third to make myself feel better. Um, I feel like I actually structured this really well. And here, let me just go out on the 10 minutes to show you guys. So, one thing that I got is I actually did end up watching Bueller's whole like movie freaking uh YouTube video. And he said that he likes to look for a lot of, like 10 EMA breaks, and I know that we're not really what is it? Like trending up here. Especially since we're pushing into this resistance. It's not like really making a higher high, higher low type of situation. But we kind of have this triangle. And on this breakout here, what we actually got was, it's like an okay amount of volume, but we got a breakdown of the 9 EMA on the 10 minute. If we go down to the 5 minute, same exact thing. And then look at the candle where we entered, ended up becoming a pin bar. Now, if we go here, look at our entry. So we see the breakdown of this trend line here, and look at the volume on the 1 minute. It's rising, so okay, we got some volume confirmation down here. Look at our pullback, lowering volume, and then here, a mistake is look at the volume. So that is not as good. But again, we kind of have this rejection here of this previous level, so we kind of created a lower high, and then we kind of had sort of a hammer, and we also broke down below the 9 EMA on the 1 minute. So I'm like, okay, this seems like a pretty good entry here. Of course, I would have liked to seen some better volume, but at the same time, lower high, break and retest on the lower time frame, reclaim of the 9 EMA 1 minute, and we also broke below the 9 EMA on the 5 and the 10 with rising volume. I mean, it seemed pretty good to me. So what I was actually going to look for, and this is where I think I kind of went a bit wrong, was I was being a bit greedy because I wanted to see price push back down into this like sort of demand down here that we had. And I didn't end up taking any profits. And I did actually stop out of this trade at break even. And the reason, and here I'll explain, is let me just draw a rectangle here. If we just draw like this, we can see that price ends up just in this chop range here. So what is going to happen when price is just moving sideways? It's either we're going to break above or we're going to break below. And what did we end up doing? We ended up continuing to push down, wick off the top, wick off the bottom. We never got a break below, but look at what we got here. Of course I didn't enter on this candle just because, dang, like volume's all messed up. Because, you know, it's a pin bar, so I was thinking, okay, maybe we push up, we have this pin bar, we come down, we lose the 9, and we could potentially flush. But then this candle was like a full reclaim close over, so I'm like, all right, I'm out. It wasn't exactly break even, it was like a $4 loss on like a $300 position. So I'm gonna just call it break even. Um, but yeah, I think the plan for this trade was actually pretty good. I also saw that Mel and Dandu both were also in this trade, and I think Leland might have been in it. I don't know for sure. Because I know I saw Mel was asking him if he was still in or not. But yeah, they ended up holding. I know Dandu and Mel did. They ended up holding above this, and as you see, we actually pushed up and flushed down. But I think my one mistake in this trade is I should have not have been as greedy. I should have, you know, just marked this here and took off my first contract down here because I think I was up actually about uh 3% or so. So we're up about $9, which is like nothing crazy. I mean, it was on a 4-day contract, uh, but it's like, okay, well, if we had $9 and then, you know, we lost the $2 on us getting stopped out, we still have a $7 profit, which is better than losing $4. And then, you know, price could have potentially, you know, gone here. We already were locked in, and then we could have seen price pushed back down here. It just would have been better trade. Management, but I think the idea of the trade, the structure, the positioning of this trade, you know, we break down below the 5 minute, 10-minute, 9 EMA. We're right back up at this resistance. We're at the breakdown of this trend line. We're breaking and retesting on a smaller time frame, back to the golden pocket, back to the EMAs. Like the positioning was very, very good. It was very peak positioning. Just didn't get the follow through, and that's not really in our control, but we also didn't end up taking profits at what should have been our first profit target, which was in our control. So that's what I gotta fix for the next time, kind of get rid of that greed. But those were the 3 trades today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed those, and hopefully you guys learned something from those. I'm gonna end up just chilling here, just back testing. I'd like to for a couple of hours, at least go through maybe 10 to 20 days. Wait, that's probably way too much now that I think a bit about it, but yeah, I hope you guys have a great night. Let's have a great trading day tomorrow. And like I always say in these videos, if anybody has any like thing that I kind of missed or any constructive criticism on my trading, consistent like things that I do wrong that you guys see consistently, please let me know. But other than that, yeah, have a good one.